Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM.
Whether it's happening in Port Harcourt, South, Nigeria, or around the world, we've got you covered. On air, online, delivering balanced news and unbiased analysis. Today, 95.1 FM.
This is Today, 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt. News.
Hello and good evening. This is the World News on your premium talk radio, Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt. I am Faustina Uputu. And the headlines? Operatives of Rivers State Police Command kill suspected kidnapper in Emoa local government area. NCDC reports over 300 deaths from Lassa fever and meningitis in Nigeria. On the foreign scene, France to ban smoking in outdoor areas from July 1, 2025. Details in a moment. And now the details of the news. A suspected kidnapper identified as Uzoma David Kamalu has been killed by operatives of the Nigerian Police River State Command at Rumodogo community in Emoa local government area of River State. David Kamalu, who has been on the wanted list of the police, is alleged to be among the criminals who killed the commander of Hunter known as Rumodogo CSO in the community. According to information available to Today FM, the victim was also allegedly involved in committing several atrocities within Rumodogo and neighboring communities, including raping of young girls and forceful takeover of people's properties, leading to the police declaring him wanted. The Commander General of Onelga Security Peace and Advisory Committee, Chief Emeka Wori, who hinted to the FM correspondent about the killing of the suspected notorious criminal, said operatives of the police, following a tip-off, trailed the victim to his hideout, where on sighting the team tried to open fire but was overpowered and killed. Chief Wori, while expressing happiness that the death of Uzoma David Kamalu will restore peace in Rumodogo community, advised other individuals still involved in criminal activities to embrace peace or be ready to face the full wrath of the law.
If I say I'm not happy, I'm telling lies, because I'm happy. He has been troubling us, troubling the community too. And I believe for the Nigerian police bringing him down, he has bring one side of peace in Rumodogo. So I feel people of Rumodogo too, they are happy if they should lay their arms. And I think the Nigerian police, the security agents in Emoa local government will forgive if they are ready to lay down their arms. And if they are not ready to lay down their arms and now fight for amnesty, I think we will still hunt them. We will join the Nigerian police to hunt them down, bring them down, all of them.
The River State Police Command is yet to issue an official statement on the development, as a public relations officer, Grace Ringakoko, is yet to respond to mobile phone calls from Today FM correspondent. A young man identified as Ikwedem Aniekbuho has narrated his ordeal in the hands of operatives of the River State Police Command within Prayer Center Junction along Rumekini Alu Road. Aniekbuho, in an interview with Today FM, claimed that the police personnel stopped a commercial vehicle he was in and, while conducting a search on the passengers, forcefully asked him to show them his account balance. He said after seeing the money in his account, the police personnel asked him to transfer the sum of 200,000 naira into an account, and when he refused, they forced him into their vehicle and took him to an unknown village in Omagwa community in Ikwere local government area, where he was tortured, assaulted and forced to make a transfer of 150,000 naira. Ikwere said he was afraid to die in the hands of the police, same way his brother was killed after he refused to give them money and decided to transfer to them through a POS attendant.
To show someone else at Rumekini, that is after prayer center. But they were police officers, so they were there. They were searching our bags. They told us to drop. We were using keke, so they told us to drop. We dropped. They started checking our phones. They collected my own phone. They opened. It's only Facebook they saw. They said I should wait. They said that before they leave me, that I will pay them 250,000 naira. I told them that I don't have 250,000 naira. They handcuffed me. They started beating me up and down. They even took me inside their van.
Ikoede Maniekbuho further called on the River State Commissioner of Police to investigate the activities of police officers along Prayer Center Junction in Rumekini and ensure that justice is served.
I want them to investigate the matter. If there is anything they can do to investigate, or they should air it so that they know what is really going on in River State, because they have been doing this thing for a very long time now and they keep on doing it. Even last 2 weeks they killed my brother. A 300 level University of Port Harcourt student. They asked my brother to give them money. My brother refused. They were beating my brother, shot him.
Meanwhile, the River State Police Command is yet to respond to these claims, as the Public Relations Officer of the command, Grace Iringekuko, is yet to respond to calls put across by Today FM correspondent. The River State Commissioner of Police, CP Olugbenga Adepoju, says amid youth unemployment, environmental degradation, insecurity and other challenges ravaging the state, there is still hope for the youths to explore. CP Adepoju, who spoke during an official inauguration of Coalition of River State Youth Bodies held in Port Harcourt, acknowledged that youths were major catalysts for change, but must make move to create a system that will help sustain their dreams. The Commissioner of Police, who was represented by the Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of operations, ACP Ike Okoro, while advising the youths to reclaim their future, urged government and critical stakeholders to invest in education to drive development, mentor and ensure inclusiveness and empower youth entrepreneurship. ACP Okoro emphasized the need to include the youths in decision-making and also prepare them to participate responsibly and efficiently in governance, insisting that 50% of Nigerian population were youths.
These young minds we're talking about that are filled with creativity, ambition, and untapped talent, yet, paradoxically, this demographic dividend is often underutilized and in many cases ignored. We live in a time marked by high unemployment, environmental degradation, economic instability, political disenchantment, and growing insecurity. But rather than accept despair, I see hope rather than see problem. I see possibilities because I believe, and I want you to believe also with me, that young people are not just leaders of tomorrow. They are the solution, architects of today.
On his part, the River State Commandant of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Joachim Okafo, who was represented by Ruben Leso, insisted that for youths to be liberated, they must refrain from blame game and start working on themselves with the belief that they can make it independently.
My speech is to the youths. The other one will be the security of the youths. I want to tell you that most people you are seeing said this way, and maybe inside the crowd there, they have passed through a lot of things that you want to jump. Don't jump. The only way you can help yourself as youth is not to be apportioning blames to your senior brother, your uncle, your father, you are this, you are that refuse to help you. You are only saying that you are a bundle of wool. In as much as you have the strength, you have the energy, and you are alive, tell yourself you must surely succeed.
Today FM correspondent Uchendu Joe reports that the theme of the event is reclaiming the future of the youth as catalyst for sustainable development and growth in River State, while the sub-theme is the role of youth in national security and development. Promoting and patronizing locally made products continues to be a key strategy advocated by local manufacturers and economists to drive economic growth in Nigeria. In a major step toward strengthening the Nigerian manufacturing sector, the River State Entrepreneur and Investment Forum, REIF, has announced a strategic investment partnership with the Leather Producers Manufacturers Association of Abia State, LEPMAS, and the Association of Tailors and Fashion Designers, ATFAD, INC, both based in Aba, Abia State. This investment aims to transform the leather and fashion industries in Nigeria with a focus on expanding their reach and boosting the country's economy. Speaking to newsmen after the visit, REIF President Ibifere Bob Manuel stated that the forum saw a potential to invest in Lepmas and Adfad by providing high-quality raw materials used in their production processes, highlighting their potential to positively impact the global value chain through exports from Aba to markets around the world.
Believe you me, Lepmas is one very shining example in this country how you could actually grow small and become very big. You know, they've been able to impact the value chain internationally, as in through exporting of their products from Aba in Nigeria here to all parts of the world. I've shared a couple of stories where I stumbled across products from this market in Dubai and in Poland. Several stories have been shared around the world. We felt as REIF, we felt is important for us to impact in them through investing in quality raw materials that they use to produce their goods.
The REIF president added that the first set of containers of raw materials will soon arrive in the Aba market in collaboration with Lepmas and Adfad, granting local manufacturers direct access to the global leather and fashion supply chain. But Manuel also emphasized the growing recognition of Nigerian brands on the global stage, highlighting Aba as the powerhouse behind many of these thriving enterprises.
The first set of containers will begin to come into this market. In partnership with them, they could now have a first-hand into the international leather market and in the international raw material market for their product. That's what we're here to finalize today, and is indeed a heartwarming success from the point of view of the Rivers Entrepreneurs and Investors Forum and from the point of view of our partners, Lepmas. And we have Adfat. Adfat is Fabric Producers Association of Nigeria. They too are one sector that has grown in leaps and bounds, not just in Nigeria, but indeed in Africa and the rest of the world.
The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention, NCDC, has reported a total of 366 deaths from Lassa fever and meningitis in the country. This followed after the NCDC confirmed 733 cases of Lassa fever from 5,118 suspected infections across 18 states and 95 local government areas. The NCDC, while highlighting the continued public health challenge posed by these diseases, disclosed that the country recorded 141 Lassa fever-related deaths, representing a case fatality rate of 19.2% from January to May 2025. According to the NCDC's latest Lassa fever situation report, there was a surge in infections during Epidemiological Week 20, with 13 new cases reported in Edo, Ondo, and Benue states, up from just 3 in the previous week. It further revealed that 72% of all confirmed Lassa fever cases were reported from Ondo, Bauchi, and Edo states, while the remaining 28% of cases were spread across 15 other states. The center, however, assured that it will continue to lead the national response, providing technical support both on-site and remotely, particularly to high-burden states, and strengthening preparedness and response activities at the sub-national level. You're listening to the World News on Today 95.1 FM, Voice of the People. After the break, more news, foreign and sports stories. Do stay tuned.
Every day, every hour, when the big stories break, depend on our 24-hour news team to bring you the latest. Today, 95.1 FM.
Thanks for staying tuned. Welcome back to the rest of the stories. Senate President Godswill Akpabio has dismissed reports suggesting that the upper legislative chamber embarrassed Senator Sani Musa, APC Niger East, during a recent plenary session. In a statement he personally signed, Akpabio described the online claims as false and misleading. According to him, the incident being referenced was misrepresented and taken out of context. He explained that when Senator Musa was called upon, Senator Abdul Ningi had raised a point of order that required immediate procedural attention in line with Senate rules. Akpabio further praised Musa's contributions to the Senate, noting his leadership as chairman of the Joint Committee on Finance and the Conference Committee that successfully harmonized the tax reform bills, a legislative milestone acknowledged by both chambers and stakeholders. The Senate President further urged media outlets to adhere to the ethics of responsible journalism in their coverage of National Assembly proceedings. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has fixed the governorship elections in Ekiti and Osun states for Saturday, June 20 and Saturday, August 8, 2026. INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu made this known during the swearing-in of 6 newly appointed resident electoral commissioners recently confirmed by the National Assembly. He said party primaries in Ekiti will start on 20th of October 2025 and end on 10th of November 2025 to enable political parties upload their nomination forms to the dedicated portal, which automatically shuts down by 6 p.m. on 22nd of December 2025. In the case of Osun State, primaries will start on the 24th of November 2025 and end on the 15th of December 2025, while the portal for the upload of nomination forms by political parties closes at 6 p.m. on 9th February 2026. He also said the detailed timetable and schedule of activities for the Ekiti and Osun State governorship elections had been uploaded to the Commission's website and social media platforms for the guidance of political parties and public information. Yakubu further disclosed the Commission was finalizing arrangements for by-elections to fill vacant seats in the National and State Houses of Assembly. The sole administrator of Emoa local government area, Franklin Ajoa, has held a meeting with traditional rulers and Community Development Committee CDC chairmen across all communities in the LGA to deliberate on security concerns and pressing developmental needs. Speaking during the meeting, Ajoa emphasized that the engagement was aimed at developing actionable strategies to address the challenges facing the people and to ensure the Council provides solutions within the limited time and resources at its disposal. Ajoa, a former River State chairman of the Nigeria Union of Local Government Employees, NOLGE, identified insecurity as one of the most significant challenges confronting the area, but noted that noticeable progress has already been made in restoring order. Despite this, the administrator expressed concern over lingering internal conflicts within some communities, alleging that certain communities continue to shed criminal elements, thereby endangering the lives and peace of innocent residents.
Issues we need to discuss today, which is one of our major challenges in this local government area, is the issue of security. Security is a big challenge to us in this local government area, some communities. But I can assure you that our local government cannot be seen as a flashpoint again. The people can move about their normal businesses now. People can move through the east-west roads safely for now. But there are still some communities where we have challenges, security challenges, and internal wranglings, why we have called us together today. It's for us to, as a local government, as a people.
Ajoa appealed to the leaders of the communities to work together with security agencies to eliminate criminal elements from the communities, saying if they fail to act, these individuals may eventually attempt to hijack leadership positions and undermine the stability of our communities.
Communities, we've been told the chiefs know them, the members of the community know them. They move with impunity. We are not saying when they see them moving, go and catch them. No, they give us useful information and we shall make your place safe and secure for you. It will not be too good where people, if you're traveling safely, once they reach the road bordering on local government, they are no longer safe. They are afraid. It does not tell good of us as a people.
The Emoa local government administrator has in recent months held a series of peace and reconciliation meetings with stakeholders from crisis-prone communities in a bid to foster unity and end protracted internal disputes in the area. The Obagi Host Community Development Board of Trustee Chairman Hobson Dike has declared health emergency in Egi and Iduama in Ogba, Ibemandoni local government area of Rivers State. The BOT chairman made this declaration during a visit with Total Energies manager Henry Ehuike and Shahid Ogunsaya to Obite Health Center, where residents of Egi and Iduama clusters are beneficiaries of an ongoing free medical outreach sponsored by the trust. The chairman, High Chief Dike, stressed the need to invest more in health sector in rural areas, noting that people living in these areas are affected by the nature of the job they do.
First and foremost, I have to thank the management of Total Energies, EP, and their partners in NPC for this sponsorship through the Obagi HCDC. For me, on our arrival here and going through all the units, we were impressed with what we have seen. We were impressed with what we have seen, the level of commitment by the medical team that are conducting this free medical outreach. We're also impressed with the turnout from our own people. But what I see here is there's a medical crisis in Eken and East environment, including the Idu-Ama cluster. That is a heavy medical crisis. I got a report that.
On his part, Total Energies manager Henry Uike reaffirmed the IOC's commitment to sustaining its partnership with Obagi HCDT in uplifting host communities.
To the communities, to the vulnerables. The number of persons here, honestly, I'm astonished with the level of health crisis, noting that the 1 week of free medical health care is not enough to attend to cases I'm seeing here. So there needs to be a review to have an extended one, a comprehensive one eventually, and there is need to embark on upgrade, reviving the health cares around here. A typical one is where we are today at the Obite Primary Health Center. There's also need, even beyond the quarters they are talking about, to have a solar powered system here. Even the generator is not also a good one, even for the patients that are here. So
beneficiaries also thanked Hobson Dike for what they described as the purposeful leadership and representation of the people.
I appreciate the sponsor of this program because they've really helped. It has really gone a long way.
The money is very high, and this one is God willing. God has provided, make people who get a soft mind to bring out this project.
The appreciation I have, the way they are doing now, they are saving people's lives, and I appreciate them, and God should help them, let them live long.
Also, medical practitioners in the area disclosed that majority of residents suffered from eye issues due to the pattern of producing gari, which they said is harmful. Today FM reports that Egi Clan Oil and Gas Landlords Families Association Elders Forum were part of the delegation that monitored the process. On the foreign scene, France has announced its resolve to ban smoking in outdoor areas where children are likely to be present starting July 1, 2025. This includes beaches, parks, bus stops, school entrances and sports venues. Health and Family Minister Catherine Vautrin, who made this announcement, said the freedom to smoke stops where children's rights to breathe clean air starts. The rule will also stop students from smoking in front of schools, and anyone who breaks the rule may be fined up to 135 euros. However, the ban does not apply to France's famous outdoor cafe terraces or to electronic cigarettes. Meanwhile, anti-smoking groups have long called for wider restrictions. According to the World Health Organization, about 35% of France's population smokes, more than the average in Europe and around the world. In sports, the Confederation of African Football, CAF, has announced Super Falcons' March schedule for the 2024 Women's Africa Cup of Nations. The 9-time African champions will open their campaign against Tunisia at the Labi Zaholi Stadium, Casablanca, on Sunday, July 6. Justin Madugu's side will take on Botswana in their second group game at the same ground 4 days later. They will clash with Algeria in their final group stage game at the Labi Zaholi Stadium, Casablanca, on Sunday, July 13. Morocco will host the biennial competition from Saturday, July 5 to Saturday, July 26, 2025. It might interest you to know that the Banyana of South Africa are the defending champions of the competition. To end the news, here's a summary of the major stories. Operatives of Rivers State Police Command have killed a suspected kidnapper at Rumodugu in Emoa local government area of the state. We told you that the NCDC has reported over 300 deaths from Lassa fever and meningitis across Nigeria. On the foreign scene, you also heard that France is set to ban smoking in outdoor areas from July 1, 2025. That is the news as edited by Stella Sasongo Korea. For comments and inquiries, please call 0818-389-2850 or send your emails to news@todayfmlive.com. You can also read our stories on www.todayfmlive.com. I am Faustina Oputu. Good evening. Thanks for listening.
Today's news, today's entertainment, today's sports, today's issues. Today on Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt.
Unleash the power of the airwaves with the ultimate radio experience. Tune in to Today 95.1 FM, the voice of the people. Don't just listen, immerse yourself.
That is 100% true.
Today 95.1 FM, where news meets insight, sports meets passion, and entertainment meets excellence. Expert analysis from seasoned professionals and our top analysts, informing, educating, and entertaining you. Your voice, your station. We are the voice of the people.
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM.
Hello and good evening once again. This is Today 95.1 FM Port Harcourt, Voice of the People, and it's time again for a rundown of the foreign news stories that made the headlines in the world today. I am Faustina Oputu. In the headlines, 11 Sudanese migrants die after crash in Libyan desert. South Sudan civilians return 12 years after fleeing civil war. U.S. judge blocks Trump efforts to bar Harvard from enrolling international students. Israel ready to accept 60-day ceasefire proposal. Now to news in details. We begin from Congo, where former Congolese President Joseph Kabila has made his first public appearance in Goma yesterday since arriving in the city last month, amid escalating tensions and ongoing violence in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Kabila, who ruled the country from 2001 to 2019, met with local religious leaders in the rebel-held city. Though he did not speak publicly, the meeting underscored his growing involvement in the region's search for peace, despite accusations from the government that he is backing the M23 rebel groups. Kabila's return to the spotlight comes as the Congolese Senate recently voted to lift his immunity, paving the way for potential prosecution on charges of treason and war crimes, accusations he has dismissed as politically motivated. In a statement last week, he accused the current government of turning into a dictatorship backed by parliament. A suspect wanted for the murder of a South African university student has been killed in a shootout with police. The man had been linked to the death of Olerato Mongale, whose body was found in Johannesburg on Sunday, about 2 hours after she was reported missing, having gone on a date. Police spokesperson Atlinda Mate told the media that police officers found the main suspect hiding at a residential complex in the coastal town of Amanzimtoti in the early hours of this morning. The suspect, who has not been named by the police, shot at the officers who returned fire and killed him, Mate added. Regional Police Commissioner Mlanhanla Mkwanazi said that at the time of the suspect's death, he had 28 ID cards and a dozen mobile phones in his possession. The residents of the High Mata village have returned to their land 12 years after being forced to flee their homes and seek sanctuary in a United Nations protection of civilian site in Malakal, Upper Nile. The community has been joined by many returnees who crossed the border back into South Sudan to escape the brutal war in neighboring Sudan. While the residents are pleased to be home, they have concerns about insecurity as well as access to basic services like clean water, healthcare, and education for their children. The state government is monitoring the return process to prevent disputes and potential conflicts over land ownership. Eleven Sudanese migrants and a Libyan driver are dead after their vehicle collided with a truck in the Libyan desert early this morning. The victims include 3 women and 2 children, local emergency services said. The crash, 90 kilometers north of the Libyan town of Kufra, is the largest tragedy involving Sudanese fleeing the civil war in their home country. Earlier this month, 7 Sudanese were found dead after their vehicle broke down in the desert, leaving 34 migrants on board stranded for several days. Thousands of Sudanese have fled to Libya in the last 2 years after civil war broke out in their country, killing thousands, displacing more than 14 million, and pushing parts of the country into famine. Sidi Tar, who formerly served as Mauritania's finance minister, has been elected as the 9th president of the African Development Bank Group at the bank's annual meetings in Abidjan, Ivory Coast. He replaces Akinwumi Adesina, a Nigerian economist who will step down in September after completing the maximum 2 5-year terms in office. The bank said in a press statement that Tar brings over 35 years of experience in African and international finance, noting that he served as president of the Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa for 10 years from 2015, where he led a full transformation that quadrupled the bank's balance sheet, secured an AAA rating, and positioned it among the top-rated development banks focused on Africa. His election comes at a time when African nations are battling aid freezes and cuts by Washington and reduced infrastructure spending and lending by China. The AFDB is owned by 54 African states and non-regional nations, including the U.S., Japan, and Saudi Arabia. Away from Africa to the rest of the world. In U.S., where a federal judge in the United States has extended a temporary restraining order on government efforts to bar Harvard University from enrolling international students. Recall that on May 22, the Homeland Security Department announced the revocation of Harvard's university certification under the Student Exchange Visitor Program, effectively barring the university from enrolling international students. On May 23, Harvard University filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration over this policy. On the same day, Judge Boruhers issued a temporary restraining order against the Trump administration's ban, requiring that the status quo be maintained until a hearing could be held. Before the hearing yesterday, the U.S. Justice Department submitted a notice to the court stating that the Trump administration would give Harvard 30 days to contest the policy. At the same time, the Trump administration continued to exert pressure on Harvard. Meanwhile, the U.S. Court of International Trade has struck down President Donald Trump's tariffs imposed under the 1977 International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEEPA. The court ruled IEEPA for not giving the president authority to impose certain tariffs, and it affects the fentanyl tariffs imposed by the White House on Canada, Mexico, and China. These tariffs were brought in to curb smuggling of the narcotic into the U.S., affecting the so-called Liberation Day tariffs announced on 2nd April 2025, including the universal 10% baseline tariff on all imports to the U.S. However, the ruling does not affect the Trump administration's 25% sectoral tariffs on steel and aluminum imports, and also his 25% additional tariffs on cars and car part imports, as these were implemented under a different legal justification. The Chinese government has signed a convention establishing an international mediation organization located in Hong Kong with Beijing, hoping it will rival the International Court of Justice (ICJ) as the world's leading conflict resolution body. The Convention on the Establishment of the International Organization for Mediation was signed into law today in a ceremony presided over by Chinese Minister of Foreign Affairs Wang Yi in Hong Kong. The ceremony was attended by representatives from several countries, including Indonesia, Pakistan, Laos, Cambodia, and Serbia. Representatives from 20 international bodies, including the United Nations, also attended the ceremony, according to Hong Kong's RTHK public broadcaster. Beijing plans for the body to strengthen Hong Kong's presence as a top global mediation hub, as it hopes to bolster the city's waning international credentials. Also, China has criticized a new plan by the United States government to revoke student visas for Chinese nationals, calling the move political and discriminatory. The decision, announced by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, marked a tightening of visa rules and is expected to impact thousands of students from China and Hong Kong. The announcement revealed that the U.S. would begin aggressively revoking visas for Chinese students, especially those with ties to the Chinese Communist Party or who are enrolled in sensitive academic fields. The policy is also expected to lead to more stringent vetting of future student visa applications, including increased scrutiny of applicants' social media activity. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning said China had formally protested the decision, accusing Washington of unreasonably targeting Chinese students and undermining international academic exchange. The latest measures followed growing scrutiny from Donald Trump-led administration of foreign influence in American universities. Trump has previously attempted to limit visas for students attending elite institutions, including Harvard University, amid broader accusations that top schools harbor anti-American sentiments. India's foreign ministry says more than 1,000 Indians have been deported from the United States since January. Spokesperson Randa Jaiswal said that around 62% of them came on commercial flights without providing more details. This comes in the wake of President Donald Trump's campaign against undocumented migrants to the U.S. In February, the U.S. had deported more than 100 Indians on a U.S. military flight, with reports saying some of them were brought back shackled. Jaiswal also said that 330,000 Indian students had gone to the U.S. for studies in 2023-2024, which makes India the largest source of international students in the country. Earlier this month, the U.S. Embassy in India issued a warning that overstaying in the U.S. could lead to deportation or a permanent ban on entry in the country, even for those who entered legally. After more than a year and a half of fighting, Israel now says it's ready to accept a ceasefire proposal put forward by U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu made the remarks during a meeting with families of dead Israeli hostages, according to state-owned Kan TV. U.S. officials say Israel signed off on the 60-day ceasefire deal before it was sent to Hamas. Hamas has issued a statement saying it is studying the proposal with a view to providing relief for the Palestinian people and reaching a permanent ceasefire. According to Kan, the proposal outlines a 60-day ceasefire in Gaza in exchange for the release of 10 living Israeli hostages and 18 bodies, while Israel would release more than 1,200 Palestinian detainees and 180 bodies. The proposal does not require Israel to end its 19-month offensive in Gaza, but does require Israel and Hamas to engage in negotiations on a long-term truce, with the United States, Egypt and Qatar serving as guarantors of the ceasefire deal. And that story from Israel concludes tonight's edition of The World Today, as produced by Princess Kabari of the News Department. But before we go, here's a summary of the stories that made the headline. 11 Sudanese migrants have died after the vehicle collided with a truck in the Libyan desert. You heard that South Sudan civilians have returned to their village 12 years after being forced to flee their homes during the civil war. We told you that a U.S. judge has blocked President Trump's effort to bar Harvard University from enrolling international students. And finally, Israel is ready to accept a 60-day ceasefire proposal, but put forward by the U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff. Till same time next week, do have a lovely weekend. Thank you so much for listening. I am Faustina Uputu.
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM.
Stay informed, stay ahead. Tune in to Today 95.1 FM for the latest news and exciting sports updates. Your trusted source for everything you need to know. Today 95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
Hello, I'm Richard Gagoin. Here's what's coming up on this edition of Focus on Africa. As South Africa reacts to the sentencing of a mother who trafficked her own child for just over $1,000, there are concerns about other cases of human trafficking in the country. Also, a trade deal between Kenya and Mayotte. What are the details? And we reflect on the incredible legacy of the internationally acclaimed Kenyan author Ngugi wa Thiong'o, who passed away this week.
My first instinct was to doubt the news in the way that, you kind of cannot believe when a legend of that stature has passed. There was a sadness, but also there was this celebration of this legacy that this person has left behind. It's really admirable what he's been able to achieve over the last 60 years and the kind of conversations he's made us all have.
It's Friday, May 30th. First, to a story that has shaken South Africa. The case of 6-year-old Jocelyn Smith, who went missing near her home in Saldanha Bay, Cape Town in South Africa in February last year. Her mother, Raquel Kelly Smith, has been sentenced to life in prison for human trafficking, along with her 2 accomplices, following a 6-week trial that captivated the country. The trial had statements from various witnesses that revealed to them that Smith had sold her daughter for just over $1,000 and that the girl was desired for her eyes and skin. According to the United Nations, human trafficking in sub-Saharan Africa takes place within and outside the region, and the numbers are said to be growing. Children account for the majority of detected trafficking victims in the region. The UN report says that between 2019 and 2020, the rate of child victims per 100,000 population has increased by 43%. Children are subjected to physical or extreme violence at a rate almost 2 times higher than adults. Overall, victims are trafficked for the purpose of sexual exploitation, forced labor, and other types of exploitation. Hilary Leong is the CEO of Awareness for Child Trafficking Africa in South Africa, where trafficking remains a hotspot. She's been following Jocelyn's case very closely. I've been speaking to her about the cases within the country and began by asking her what the reaction to the sentencing was.
We actually put out a call actually asking for maximum sentence, and for this case to be used as an example to perpetrators of these kind of atrocities, especially human trafficking, so that they know that we mean business, that we're not going to take crimes of this nature lightly. So yes, we are thrilled. We are truly excited, but it still remains that Jocelyn is missing. So as much as justice has been served, Jocelyn is out there somewhere, and we want Jocelyn back. We want to know where she is and what has happened. So that is the stance of South Africa. All South Africans, we're grateful for the wheels of justice that have churned in a direction which is excellent. Big up to the judge. We're really, really impressed with the judge and the justice team. Investigators include, but now we want Jocelyn. We need to find out, and that is the crux of it. Jocelyn needs to be returned back from wherever she is.
Now, Jocelyn still hasn't been found, despite months of searching. And this case has put a spotlight on something even bigger. That's child and human trafficking in South Africa. Just how widespread is the problem?
South Africa is a hotspot across the continent and even globally. So it is a source, it's a transit, and it is a destination point for human trafficking. Not just in South Africa, but across the continent. You have issues of poverty and issues of joblessness, unemployment, inequality, and a whole host of issues that contribute to it, where people are desperate and people are prone to falling prey to perpetrators and getting involved in criminal activities. So we're finding that human trafficking is quite a problem. But at the same token, there is a lot that is being done by civil society organizations, by different groups in government. For example, my organization, which is Awareness for Child Trafficking Africa, along with other organizations, we work closely with government departments. We sit on the provincial task teams for trafficking in persons. And so these are various groups and entities that are there, and organizations doing the most, doing what we can to not just bring about awareness, but try and break these cycles of human trafficking and raise it so people are more aware, can identify, and encouraged to report these atrocities to law enforcement. And obviously take note of the security factors that they need to put in place in terms of safety in order to try and reduce, minimize, or eradicate human trafficking, and especially when it comes to children.
Cases like this are incredibly complex to investigate. Could you just walk us through what it takes to prosecute a case like this? How do you build a murder trial without a victim being found?
Yeah, you know, it is very difficult because you haven't found the victim. So you have to really do your investigations quite thoroughly to get to a point where you can convict somebody and pass out a sentence as it was today. So yes, your procedure is in this place. You have your law enforcement involved where your case is opened. You have your Department of Social Development that is involved. You have your National Prosecuting Authority that is involved. And then you have your civil society organizations that are involved that assist in these cases, and the community that's involved in actually trying to help to find the child and get to a point where you know exactly what has happened. But as we can see in this case, from the evidence that has come to light and with the various witnesses that have come forward, you don't know still up to this point, is Jocelyn alive? So yes, the element of human trafficking has come in and it has been proven according to the law, and thus a sentence has been passed down. Even though human trafficking has happened, you don't know if she's been held somewhere. You don't know under what conditions. You don't know if she has been killed, murdered. So those are still prevailing questions that need answers to, and so that we know exactly what has happened. And that is why the case is still actually open, because of all of those issues that still need to be answered and dealt with. Even for the family especially, know what's happening and get closure on this case. So as long as Jocelyn is missing, there will be no closure.
This case has really captured public attention. Do you think it could be perhaps a turning point? Could it push the government to take stronger action on trafficking?
That they have to act. There is no choice, because we as South Africans are keeping the government to account here. That is why your judicial system has acted in the way that they have. But yes, we are, and especially with child protection as it is. So remember, this is just one case. There are many other Jocelyns out there that has happened before and that's happened afterwards. And those in the same vein that this case has been dealt with. So those cases that are not in the media, that is not known, those cases must be dealt with in the exact same way, with such speed and really a drive to ensure that justice is served and that perpetrators are brought to book with the maximum sentences possible.
Thanks to Hilary Leong, CEO of Awareness for Child Trafficking Africa. Kenya is looking to boost regional trade, and one of its latest moves is aimed at building closer ties with Mayotte, a French overseas territory in the Indian Ocean. There have been already talks and visits hosted by CAP Business, a platform representing the private sectors of the 6 Indian Ocean islands, along with the Mayotte Development and Innovation Agency. With backing from the French Development Agency and the European Union, the meetings brought together key players from across the region to find ways to ease trade and tackle shared challenges. Rama Madiba, chairman of the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, joined me on the line from the port city of Mombasa. I started by asking him why Mayotte is such a priority for Kenya right now.
Mayotte, geographically, first, is very close to the coast of Kenya in terms of distance and in terms of shipping. Like, for example, I'll tell you that it takes 4 days to ship from the port of Mombasa to the port of Longoni in Mayotte. But interestingly, there exists a very big gap in the sense that from things that Mayotte imports, 6% of it come from Africa. 94% come from elsewhere apart from Africa. Yet it takes 4 days to ship from Mombasa to Mayotte.
Yeah, because I would assume because of its geographical location and proximity to mainland Africa, Mayotte would be trading much with the continent as opposed to the rest of the world. So I wonder, why is there a disconnect? What's caused the gap?
I think there has been no focus in deliberately growing the trade partnership and the trading between mainland Africa and Mayotte. So businessmen do not know what Mayotte is all about. That's why we are taking this opportunity to try and grow that business.
In terms of the fine print of this deal, what's the content? What agreements have you come up with between the two countries?
We signed an MOU between the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and ADIM, ADIM being the counterpart trade organization in Mayotte. It's looking at the retail sector, looking at what agricultural products that can be explored by Kenyan people to Mayotte and the other way around. Then number two, we are also looking at issues around tourism, considering that Mayotte has the third largest lagoon in the world, and Kenya has a safari, Masai Mara and other tourist attractions. What we're asking ourselves is, could this then be sold as a package, such that if you are a tourist visiting this part of the world, would you come to Kenya? Would you come to Nairobi? Would you go to Masai Mara, Mombasa? And then can you fly to Mayotte to experience what Mayotte offers that the rest of Africa does not offer? And therefore that is put together as a package. And also considering that we have a Kenya Airways flight that is 2.5 hours from Nairobi to Mamudzu. And the third one is also around ICT. We have the undersea cable that lands in Mombasa, and it's the same cable that then serves Mayotte. So could we explore a lot in ICT by ensuring that technologies that have been matured in Mayotte can be scaled in Africa? Could we have also Kenyan businessmen going to Mayotte to take the expertise that they have built in Africa to Mayotte? Those are the three main areas that this trade deal is focusing on.
All right, and so what products are usually exported from Kenya to Mayotte?
Currently, we don't have products exported from Kenya to Mayotte, and that's what we are trying to work on.
And what's really been the reaction about the prospects of effecting this deal between the two countries, the trading communities in Kenya and Mayotte?
There's an excitement between the Kenyan businessmen looking at Mayotte. The strong per capita of Mayotte gives an opportunity to Kenyan business community to export. But I think the magic would be, where is the starting point? Which are these products that can unlock and basically get the wheels rolling?
Right. And has the Kenyan delegation visited Mayotte, and do you expect also a delegation from Mayotte to be visiting Kenya?
Yes. So in November last year, we had a Kenyan delegation that visited Mayotte for a week's delegation. I was also privileged to be part of that delegation. 3 weeks later, we then in Nairobi hosted our colleagues from Mayotte in Nairobi to explore the business opportunities.
And what were your findings when you landed in Mamudzu? What were your first impressions?
You know, culturally first, you could see that the culture in Mombasa and the culture in Mamudzu is the same. People speak Swahili in Mombasa, people speak Kimaore in Mamudzu. That shows that the opportunity is just below our noses because we have very similar cultural, setup. I was just surprised that the cost of living in Mayotte is very expensive. I mean, the things that you can buy in Mombasa or in Kenya compared to what you get in Mayotte, it's very, very, very expensive. So it was a kind of shock for me to see then that the people of Mayotte, they have to pay it through their noses, yet the products that they have there, we have them here at a very low cost. And interestingly is that we have Kenyans who are exporting products from Kenya to the EU, mainland Europe, but they're not exporting to Mayotte. It's such a contradiction.
Yeah, so this is going to be quite beneficial to the people of Mayotte, yeah?
Yes.
What's the next step now? After, the visiting of the delegation, so what are the next steps?
We have one legal hurdle that the Mayotte administration promised that they are looking into. There was a restriction that was put in 1995 or thereabouts about the export of fresh produce or food related from Africa to Mayotte. At the time, maybe it was to protect, the environment there. That continues to be a significant hurdle, that needs to enable trade. So if we were to look at the next possible point is then to look at non-agricultural products that can be exported to Mayotte, and also for the administration in Mayotte to review the act that was put in place more than 20 years ago.
Rama Madiba, Chairman of the Kenya Chamber of Commerce. This week, the world lost a literary giant.
My name is Gogi, but if you ask which Gogi, because there are many Gogis, then Gogi one, Thiongo, son of Thiongo. So Thiongo is my father's name.
87-year-old Gogi wa Thiongo from Kenya was one of Africa's most influential writers and had a tremendous global impact. His work spanned 6 decades, documenting his country's journey from colonial rule to independence. He was known for his writing in his native Kikuyu language, pushing for African languages in literature.
This literature is written largely in European languages. Even those writers of our generation, we wrote in English, French, or Portuguese. And that trend continues to the present. So the struggle that there is now also is a struggle for where African writing in African languages is trying to assert itself.
The internationally acclaimed Nigerian author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie took to social media a few years ago to speak about her admiration for the author.
I read his memoirs and I just remember feeling this sense of affection and admiration and respect. He has exhibited a remarkable level of moral courage as a person in the world and as a writer. And I feel quite proud to be part of this modern African literary tradition that has as one of its brightest stars and one of its guiding lights, the great Ngugi wa Thiong'o.
Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Ngugi was tipped to win the Nobel Prize for Literature countless times, leaving fans dismayed each time the title was denied to him. He was imprisoned in Kenya for his critical views on the Kenyan government back in the day, and went into exile in England and later the United States, where he has been a professor of literature for many years. He continued to be a vocal critic of colonialism and a proponent of African self-determination. I've been speaking to someone who looked up to him, was inspired by him, and even had an opportunity to meet him. Kenyan author Troy Onyango.
I knew Ngugi like almost every other Kenyan, like this literary giant who is one of the cornerstones of not just Kenyan literature, but African literature as a whole. I have interacted with his work throughout my years, from when I was a teenager, when I first picked up a copy of A Grain of Wheat from, I think it must have been a copy belonging to my cousin or something, and reading through it. And then I studied The River Between in high school as a compulsory set text. But my first meeting with him was at the University of Nairobi. I think this must have been in 2015.
And I wonder what it was really like for you in 2015 at the University of Nairobi, meeting him. What did that really, really mean to you?
I think he was giving a lecture on the importance of writing in African languages. So I remember sitting, I think it must have been Taifa Hall. I remember sitting somewhere in the middle and just watching him speak. And it was almost like a child in a candy store. I just wanted to just hang on to every word. So I was really just grateful for his insight. He made me think about things that I hadn't thought about before. He made me consider using more of Luo and Swahili in my writing, which I still do now, you know, without having to explain myself, without having to contextualize things for outsiders, because a lot of the times the African writer is expected to write when facing the West. And Ngugi's position was, no, we actually have to have people coming to us. We must be the center so that the other people can come to our literature instead of us always contributing to their literary canon.
And you earlier in the conversation mentioned that you'd read one of his books, which was The River Between, that was then as a set text in high school. Which other books did you read, and which one really stood out for you, and why?
My first reading of Ngugi must have been A Grain of Wheat, which I found a copy laying down in our house. And then I read Weep Not Child. I've also read I Will Marry When I Want, the play, you know, which was one of the sources of his controversy in Kenya. And I've also read Decolonizing the Mind. I have all of them autographed by him when I met him. Even when I met him, you know, I didn't tell him I was a writer, but he was very encouraging to me. First of all, he was wowed that I brought about 4 of his books at the time to get signed when they were telling us that he can only sign 1 copy, and he insisted on signing all my 4 books. That was really nice to have that. And then it's only later that I encountered Decolonizing the Mind, which has kind of become like a seminal text for me in my everyday thinking.
I mean, he was quite accomplished, looking at what he had done and his contribution to the world of literature, not only just in his, motherland, Africa, but for the rest of the world.
Exactly.
And a lot of people say, because of his contribution, then he deserved the Nobel Prize. But he seems to have been overlooked. I mean, I just want to hear what your thoughts are on that.
I don't think we need a Western prize to validate someone like Ngugi, right? I think it would have been wonderful for him to have gotten it, just because the way the world is structured is such that that's one of the metrics by which a person's literary greatness is measured. But at the same time, I think when someone like Ngugi has spent his entire life, writing away from the West, his politics was always that Africans need to look inwards and we need to write in our own languages and we need to cultivate our own languages. He was even proposing that we teach in our own languages. Chinua Achebe similarly never won the Nobel Prize, but that doesn't make him less influential in how he helped us approach African literature. I am one of those people who I think we don't need Western prizes to validate African literary giants. We need to validate our own people by ourselves, which I think we are doing even now by celebrating Ngugi's achievements and by celebrating his life.
What sort of legacy is he going to leave behind?
in a way, every Kenyan writer is a child of Ngugi. You know, he was the first Kenyan writer to be published in the English language, you know. And so that's something that all of us who write in English, all of us who write novels or write books in Kenya are still always going to be connected to his legacy. So we are all Ngugi's children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and that is how it will continue until the end of time.
Troy Onyango reflecting on the life of Ngugi wa Thiong'o, who will be remembered not only as a Nobel-worthy writer, but also as a fierce proponent of literature written in native African languages. And you can catch a longer version of my conversation with Troy on our Focus on Africa podcast from wherever you get your other podcasts. This episode of Focus on Africa was produced by Nyasha Michelle and Emmy Libovitz in London, with Charles Gitonga and Frenny Joey in Nairobi. Kane Sharp was the senior producer and Jonathan Greer was the technical producer. Our editors are Andre Lombard and Alice Modengi. Thanks for listening.
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM.
Say no to the ordinary. Embrace the extraordinary, because we are the voice of the people. Today, 95.1 FM.
Today, 95.1 FM.
I'm a young study of below, mayor of below. Yeah. I cannot compare to your kind of vibe. I cannot compare to your kind of vibe. This kind of thing fit to kill a man. This kind of love you to satisfy. Tell me say make I live and say the girl no say me I love him. Tell them say me they live and say this love me I go die for him. Abasimba, she go they scream Abasimba. When I fall up my machine gun, she go they scream like a ding dong. Oh, Abasimba, she go they scream Abasimba. When I fall up my machine gun, she go they scream like a ding dong. I go take and judge. No the fast step, I go take and judge. This one no be church, we go need to pray. This one no be play, I go ride you well. I bend you till your mama call you. Bend you till your mama call you. Be like Omale, I go bend you. Make I bend you till your mama call you. Bend you till your mama call you. Be like Omale, I go bend you. Ika sokon, everybody me for ya ika sokon. Make me dance to my sokon. Feeling my vibe as a one love. Ika sokon, everybody me for ya ika sokon. Make me dance to my sokon. Feeling my vibe as a one love. Tell me say make I live and say the girl no say me I love him. Tell them say me they live and say this love me I go die for him. Abasimba, she go they scream Abasimba. When I fall at my machine gun, she go they scream like a ding dong. Oh, Abasimba, she go they scream Abasimba. When I fall at my machine gun, she go they scream like a ding dong. I go take and judge. No any fast step, I go take and judge. This one no be church, we go need to pray. This one no be play, I go ride you well.
Mixed.
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM.
Jules, baby.
Trouble me, oh, she just bust my brain. She dey say she want my sugar cane, she dey twist my dress. Yeah, you sweet girl, yeah, you turn me up, and I'm in the grace of your body, so. Tell me what I done to you, all I did is got love for you. Tell me I'm the one for you, tell me I'm the one for you, tell me if I'm the one for you. Tell me I'm the one for you, because of you I sing this song for you. You made me go, it's come on, say it's killing me. Papa, you made me go, it's come on, say it's killing me. Papa, you made me go. I never told you, I never see you. All this time I told you, when I was kidding you. Ooh, it's scary. You're killing me, that ice like a baby. Ice like a baby. Ice like a baby. She got that ice like a baby. She got ice like a baby. Give her. She want put it on the table. Ah. Give me some of baby. Give her. Every time she available. Ah. I know my head, oh yeah. I know my food. I know my two baby. I know my available. I know my head, oh yeah. I know my food. I know my two baby. I know my available. I won't talk my mind, oh. For anyone we feel relate, oh. Read the macula, oh. Sometimes it feels like success is a trap. And sometimes it feels like people don't understand. Cause the pressure plenty and the expectations high. Even your day ones were supposed to get your back. Sometimes they ones they fight. And everybody has an opinion on how you supposed to live your life. And even people were supposed to show you the way. Now the people they backbite. Not be pride, not be ego. Sometimes I gotta stay my mind, sometimes I gotta stay behind, sometimes I will have to say no. Sometimes I gotta throw water out of my head. Hey, this person don't go drive me insane, no. if you see me outside and I no greet you, no vex, Papa, my head is full, oh. I'm about you know the level. Now this hustle like this. Now this hustle like this. This hustle can be so overwhelming sometimes. No, I don't on my own. I got so many things that the reason no bother me. One you pala who congolele. Kilo satanic on serio. My family go call, enemy go call, I don't know who is. Don't be bad, don't be evil. Sometimes I can stay away when I have nothing to say. Sometimes I will have to say no. Sometimes I got some water on top of my head. But this person don't go tell me insane. So if you see me for sure and I don't greet you, no vex, Papa, my head is full, oh. I'm about you know the level. Like this hustle like this. Now this hustle like this. Of course, there's it any bumpers. Yeah, cause I put myself first. Whoa, there's it any bumpers. Yeah, it's all love, brother, yeah, it's all love. Whoa, it's all love, my brother, it's all love. And I'm good with it.
Say no to the ordinary. Embrace the extraordinary, because we are the voice of the people. Today, 95.1 FM.
Today, 95.1 FM.
They no go let the
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM.
Test.
Yeah. What's up? Fast back and the beating, by the way.
DJ Neptune. Let us go. When you steady, collect and they come. Remix. Oh, Police.
Cielo mi kota ba. Akaniomba be. Vile yana. Nikampe. Para que sale buena, cheue. Acaba kwenye kumbe kitu mwake. Oya kanesko. Kaka. Umele. Leo na uwa. Si mtoto kauta. Taka. Mtoto kauta. Ta. Si mtoto kaute. Teke. Mtoto kaute. Te. No.
Uyo mtoto.
Straight to the point, no they get come out. Nothing really was unintentional. When they kill it, go to the check for life. Perfect my back, kocha. Okay, but you're still on side. Only me in the club, but give me chance. I get some more for you, call me later. But the anti well on you take out. Tell her if you wait.
What she tell me when I beat before? Money man, you treat her like you preach the love.
What you really want, baby, just me now. Big diva, show me where I be 6 women for that. Bring up, you go eat now. She fit relax, so make you go need to laugh. I get you now, papi, you go prefer to snack. You get the plan, nothing I no go fit finance.
Uyo mtoto.
Shut up.